Just want to check if we got any viewers watching this evening. If you can hear myself before we bring on Shane Williams for a few questions. So if you could just comment in the box that we've got, people can hear us and see us. We've got a bit better technology than this time last week where things failed. But if I can see the Abercrave Mafia have joined us, if you can just give us a thumbs up that you're here, because we've got Shane for a quick half an hour, we're fantastic, and you can hear us. And then we'll crack on with the quiz then at the end. But we're very obviously grateful. So before we start, I'd just like to welcome Shane. We're very lucky to have Shane. We were due to have Shane to come on board and do an event for us, a gentleman's evening, which has been cancelled due to the lockdown. So I don't know if I don't need to introduce Shane. I know Shane played this afternoon at Twickenham. Did you anyone watch the 2008 game? What was it like, Shane, looking back on that game this afternoon?
Yeah, look, it's good to be here. First of all, it's good to talk to someone. I don't think I've spoken to anyone for 2 months. So, yeah, watching that game back is quite bizarre, really, because it makes you realise that even though it feels like it was yesterday, it was 12 years ago. But fond memories of that year, obviously, but amazing memories of that game and the fact that we went on and won the Grand Slam after it. So, probably the best year in my rugby career, 2008. So seeing bits of it and reliving it again is amazing. And got the banter going already with the likes of Lee Byrne, James Hook and Mike Phillips and them sending it through and making fun of some of the decisions I made in that game. And Mike Phillips, being the usual Mike Phillips, saying that he won the game for us in the end. So, it's good. It was lovely to see.
Great. No, it was great to watch it. I mean, it was fascinating to watch the game today. So we've been running a regular quiz in Ystradgynlais, and some of the regulars have asked me to ask a few questions. So there's a gentleman who used to live in Ystradgynlais, moved away. He's a very regular, Rob Rosario. And he has said that you're his favourite player. The question he's got for you was, you scored that superb try against South Africa in the 32nd minute. What was going through your head as you jinked through the South Africans?
Yeah, not much goes around in my head when I'm playing rugby, I've got to be honest with you. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But, I just remember that tour was a big tour for me because we were playing the World Champions. I was playing against a player called Brian Habana. I'd had a particularly good Six Nations. We'd won the Grand Slam, and I had played the tournament. So, I went on that tour full of confidence. And I remember my first press conference. I think the press conference lasted about 2 hours, and they didn't ask me a single question about myself. It was just all about how good Brian Habana was, and I was a little peed off, to be honest with you. So I thought, well, I'm going to make sure I'm going to play well in these games and get involved, and prove a few people wrong, really, and the South African press wrong, really. So, when both those games I played particularly well in, really came off the field, enjoyed it. But the 2 tries, people ask me, what was the celebration? Why was I doing that when I scored? Well, I was pretty much saying to the press officers, well, where's Brian Habana now? Because I'd kept him quiet in those games, and I was the better player in the game. So. Brilliant memories, though. The South Africa tours are amazing because it's the toughest rugby you're going to play. It's physical. South Africans don't lose at home. They just don't. Right. That's how hard they are and how tough they are. And we really give them a good go, And, we did lose the matches, but they were 2 fantastic matches that at the end of both the games, even the South Africans were cheering on for the Welsh. It really was that, right. That great an atmosphere. So, to score those tries was pretty special on a big year for me, really. But like I say, 2008 was just a great year for me. I had hit my purple patch. Everything I touched turned to gold, and that doesn't come along very often. Let me tell you.
No, that's a great answer. Thanks. I know Rob will be really chuffed with that. I've got a question from Abercrave. They got a very good seconds team up there. 2 questions. The first one: were you shopping in Ystradgynlais Asda this week?
Yeah, it's a small place, Abercrave, isn't it? Yeah, you can't get away with doing anything these days, especially with Twitter and Facebook and God knows what. But yeah, I went to Asda, done a bit of shopping. Obviously social distanced, and didn't have anybody coming up to me, which was nice. But I also popped into Cwmtwrch then to the garden centre, but they didn't see that, did they?
Right. No, they didn't. You would have probably had some free flowers there, Shane. Another question from one of our club legends, Adrian Locke. He's quite well known throughout the Ospreys. Who would you say the best coach that you've worked under would be?
Yeah, well, I know Lockie. And I know who doesn't, and the family, of course. So
that's good.
I hope they're all keeping well and safe. Oh God, I tell you, one of my favourite coaches is Lynn Jones. Lynn Jones took me in the Neath side when I was playing for the Army United. We were Division 4 West, I think it was at the time. I'd played about perhaps 8 or 9 games for the club, and he saw something in me that no one else did, and he took a gamble, he took a punt. I think he knew from the start I wasn't a scrum half. For one, I didn't pass very often, which isn't a good trait for a scrum half. I could only pass one way, and I was pretty quick. So he soon saw that I was probably best suited on the wing. He checked me out there, and the rest is history. But not only that, he took the gamble. He worked hard with me after training. I used to do a lot of one-on-one sessions with him. And when people were writing me off, he was sticking up for me all the way. And, well ahead of his time. A lot of the things he was coaching back in 99, 2000, 2001 are things that coaches are doing now or starting to do now. Well ahead of his time. Very unique in his methods, but a very unique individual, to be honest with you. But, what he did, I learned so much from. So Lynn was probably my favourite, and up there with the likes of Warren Gatland in the sense of very technical and a rugby genius.
Good. Some of the guys you might know referee Peter Soroka. I don't know if he was around. His son Matthew has been reading up today about some stories about Warren Gatland that you mentioned that were put about the Lions. Are we allowed to know anything about that, or is it something? Yeah, if you're far away, I don't want to ask anything I shouldn't. But all Matthew's asked is, ask Shane anything that Warren Gatland story.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of Lions stories for sure, but probably the biggest story for me personally was after the game we just seen today. Actually, the 2008 game against England. Like you say, Mike Phillips saves the day. We win the match. And after the game, Warren Gatland is a guy. He enjoys a win. He enjoys you celebrating a win. So he told the lads, "Look, have a beer tonight, guys. Enjoy this. No, we don't very often win in Twickenham. We're going to go on and win the Grand Slam." So, which was great, very refreshing. So we had a few beers. Being typical Welsh, we probably had a few too many beers, and we had to go back to Cardiff to the Vale. So we jumped on the bus, had a few more beers. Eventually got to the Vale Hotel, and as we got there was a party going on upstairs in the Vale Hotel. So we got up there, and obviously the usual suspects, myself, Gavin Ensign, Mike Phillips, and a few others, go upstairs and have a few beers in the party. Next thing, I'm waking up on the Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, fully clothed on my bed in the hotel. Now, it's never a good sign, and it happens to us all, we know that, but anyway, so I get changed and I go to pool recovery, as we had every morning after a game. And as I jump in the jacuzzi, I've got Tom Shankly and a few of the boys straight away just start staring at me. Now, I knew something was up. So I told Shanks, come on, just spit it out. What is it? He said, "Oh, nothing, Shane. It's just I wondered if you remembered offering Warren Gatland out for a fight last night."
Bloody hell.
No, it was his first game in charge. I'd been dropped from the Welsh team before, and I thought, oh my God, I don't want this to happen to me again. And Shanks is the joker of the pack, so you never know if he's serious or not, okay? So I look at his face, and he's deadpan serious. So I jump out to the jacuzzi, and I think, damage limitation. I sprint all the way up to Warren Gatland's office. I knock on the door. Before he's even answered, I've gone in and said, "Look, Warren, I'm really sorry about last night. I don't remember offering you out. I'm an idiot. Please don't drop me from the team. I'm an embarrassment to everyone." And Warren's gone, whoa, Shane, calm down. What do you want about? Now straight away, I'm thinking, oh, Shanklin has had me about here. Tom has had me about here. So uh, I feel relieved because obviously he's not angry with me. So he goes, look, sit down, Shane, let's have a chat. So we sit down for about 5 minutes, chatting about the game and about what we're going to do to win the Grand Slam. And then he goes, right, you got to go now, Shane, because we've got a meeting in 10 minutes. So he comes around the desk, puts his arm on my shoulder, and kind of ushers me to the door. And as he's pushing me through the door, he goes, but if you call me a fat, useless Kiwi prick again, you won't play for Wales. So, yeah, that was my first proper encounter with Mr. Gatland. And I remember thinking after that, right, Shane, you've got to play well in the next game, or he's got an excuse to drop you. And, I did. I got better as the Six Nations went on, and, the rest is history. We win the Grand Slam.
Ah, great. That's a cracking story. Fair play. I think Mr. Sirocco will be very pleased. It's interesting because, we've had regulars on the quiz, and, we've got a lady up in Cumgra, Pamela, who's the bar manager, and last week she offered me a free bar up there. This week she's offering you the free bar. So,
oh, God. She'll be regretting that.
I mean, I should say it as well. So it's a pleasure to see you wearing the Ystradgynlais badge.
Yes.
And, apparel 5.
No, thank you very much, and obviously supporting the NHS.
Yeah,
so diolch to you all.
It's not the first time I've been worn the same shirt as you. Obviously, we were teammates up in London against England. I shouldn't have really been anywhere near the team, and obviously a lot of people when I got there thought I was the bus driver. Obviously, that was a great night. And did you enjoy playing back with the legends up in the Stoop?
Yeah, look, it's any excuse to play against England, isn't it? It doesn't matter what level it is. But no, look, it was a great occasion again for charity. We went out there. We had a blast. It was an opportunity to play against some legends as well, wasn't it? And again, you can't take away from rugby is the camaraderie and the crack that you have. It doesn't matter if it's an international World Cup final or it's a charity match against the old enemy. So no, it was good. I do enjoy it. I've played in the Bermuda Classics. I've played in testimony. We had RC Paul James's testimonial last year. Unfortunately, hookies doesn't look like it's going to go ahead this year, but it's an excuse to get out there and have fun. But for me, it's more of an excuse to see the lads raise a bit of money and have a crack on the field, and of course afterwards have a few beers together, because in these kind of games you're playing against and with players you haven't seen 5, 10, 15, even 20 years in some cases. So it's good fun.
Great. Obviously, I've seen you involved with your son on the sidelines with Cumgos, and some of our junior players are on tonight watching on their parents' Facebooks. And I've got a question from one of our under-10s players, Dylan Stockdale. He's asking, what advice would you give to a youngster looking to progress in rugby, really? Yeah,
it's simple. Look, it's you've got to enjoy what you're doing. So don't ever feel pressure into in having to think that you've got to train too hard, or especially at a young age. You've got to enjoy it. Go out there. If it's training and it's raining, or if it's training and it's sunny, go out there, enjoy learning, enjoy what you're doing on the field, and you'll become much better at it. If you're going out there and you're not enjoying it, then what's the point in my eyes? You've always got to do things with a smile on your face, and you will get better. What you do need to do is listen to your coaches. They do know a little bit more than you do, believe it or not, kids.
Yeah.
My son's one of them who thinks he knows a lot more than I do. Listen to your coaches. And when you're asked to do something, do it, and do it hard. Do it, do it with a smiling face, but do it to the best of your ability, because that's the only way you learn. That's the only way you get better at things. And if, like I said earlier, if you're going out into the field and you're feeling pressured and you're not enjoying it, then it's not worth doing, really.
That's fantastic. A question from an English referee, actually, one of the top referees in England, has said, do you think that the programme Harry's Heroes should be created into a rugby version?
Yeah, without doubt. I think, you look at what Harry Redknapp's doing with his Harry's Heroes. Everyone's watching it. I enjoy my football, but I don't really switch on and watch games. But I switched on and watched that programme for sure. And it's the second one now, isn't it? And
Yeah.
When you've got personalities like Merson and Razor Ruddock and Harry Redknapp himself, doing what they're doing. It's great fun. It's good TV. And also, you look at some of those players, some of those are legends that we haven't seen on telly for a while. So it's nice to see that there's some of them are still doing well. Like Merson, who's recovered from his problems as well, is doing well. And yeah, it's good fun, isn't it? And that's what telly should be all about. It's not. I'm not one of these, reality programs. Love Island and Big Brother. I don't really enjoy those, if I'm perfectly honest with you. To me, they aren't celebrities. The celebrities are the footballers and the actors and things like that. So I enjoy watching a program like that and just giggling at the likes of Razor Ruddock, because I've met Merson, I've met Ruddock, I've done a lot of things with Letitia as well. So they are great guys. They are good guys. Neil Ruddock is bonkers. Razor is absolutely bonkers. Who would have thought he was a footballer? I think he's about 25 stone now, isn't he? Bless him. But good personalities, and that's what telly should be about, isn't it? Fun, laughing and smiling.
No, definitely. A couple of questions that have come up from on the side of the comments. Guy called Craig Jenkins. I don't know Craig, but you gave him your shorts at the game, the ASSI game, so he's thanking you for that. And Sammy, that used to play for Ystradgynlais, is up in London, is saying, who's the best player you've played with and obviously against?
Yeah, tough one. I think that against is Brian Habana. We had so many tussles over the years. He very rarely he didn't score against us. He was a class. He was quick. He was brave. He was gutsy. He was the right place at the right time, and countless amounts of interception tries he scored. And something I couldn't really grasp in my game. I was never quick enough to kind of react to that. He was amazing. Good mate of mine now, and he eventually knocked me off the third spot on the all-time top try scoring list as well. Won the European Cup, World Player of the Year, won the World Cup. He's Super Rugby. He's successful. So, to do that, you've got to be a special player. Best player I've played with. I don't know. It's difficult. For me, I always pick centres. Gavin Henson, class. Alan Bateman for me is one of the best players I played alongside, because I played with him at a young age. He was coming to the end of his career, but I learned so much from him in a short period of time. I barely made a tackle when he played. He was class, He just read the game so well. Very unselfish player, and probably one of the most underrated players has played for Wales. So it'd probably be someone like that. But I think someone like Philo Tia would be up there as well, in the sense that, overlooked at the All Blacks. I think he had one All Black cap. He was up against the likes of Tane Randall and players like that in front of him. But an absolute animal. Playing for the Ospreys, without doubt, one of the best Osprey players I played with. Just no one messed with him. Hard as nails, but very unassuming as well. And he'd definitely be up there, and people probably wouldn't get that, really.
Good. I've got a couple of questions. We have people from Britain Ferry join in. Who would you say the best referee is? I don't know if you can answer that one. And also, I know you're a commentator, but your favourite commentator as well.
Yeah. I think it'd be hard to argue against Nige, isn't it, as one of the best refs in the world. He very rarely gets it wrong. When he gets it wrong, he admits it, and his knowledge of the game is second to none. I think he's been reffing since he was about 6 years old, because I remember him reffing when I was young, when I was a kid. So, he's been there, he's done it all. What he is good is man management, player management. Never takes a backward step. He's very respectful, and he earns the respect of the players around him very quickly. So that's why I think he was the best. There wasn't many players that wouldn't have got on with Nigel or would say that he's a bad referee. What was the other question? I've forgotten the question.
Commentator from...
Comms, yeah.
Comms.
Look, you'll do well to beat the legend that was Bill McLaren.
I agree.
I remember him doing the comms in my first game, and he knew more about me than I knew about me. He just one of these who he did his homework. He knew his history of his players in the background. and just his voice was soothing. I thought he was amazing. And I remember, I had Jonah Lomu Rugby on the PlayStation, and some of the stuff he used to come up with on there was just fantastic. But recently, I enjoy working with people like Miles Harrison, who I worked with very closely in the World Cup, and he's amazing for me because he's so helpful, makes my job so much easier. His knowledge of the game is fantastic, and a lovely bloke as well. So yeah, you do well to beat Bill, I think. But I really enjoy working with Miles Harrison at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's great. There's one about Japan. Chris Last and Greg Owen. Greg's out in Ireland at the minute, Dublin. How did the move for Japan come about, and what did you learn? And as experience, how was it for you?
Yeah, it came about as chance, really. I played my last game for Wales against Australia. I was ready to retire for the Ospreys. I had the end of season to finish in 2012. I'd started my own business, 2 businesses actually, and I was ready to do live the normal life then, so to speak. And I just had a phone call one Sunday evening from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in Japan, and they said that they wanted me to go over there and become an ambassador and play for the club. And initially, I said no because I'd made these plans, like I just mentioned. And they just said, "Oh, look, come out for 3 or 4 days, just have a look to see what it's all about, and then make the decision." And I went over there. Obviously, the lifestyle and everything was much different, but it was great. The culture was different, but the people were so friendly, and I decided, look, I'm never going to get this chance again. I in 12 months' time, I probably won't be playing rugby, so let's pick up sticks and give it a go. So I took the family over there, and to be honest with you, the wage was pretty good as well, so that was a big factor. But we did it, and I spent 3 years there, and 3 wonderful years with some fantastic people that changed my life, really, to be honest.
Yeah, great. I've got a big Osprey supporter, Albie Thomas, quite famous. He used to travel from Porthcawl to Ystradgynlais on a moped to play for us. Albie's a massive rugby fan, lovely kid. He wants to know, what's your favourite try that you've scored?
Oh, God. People always ask me that, and I've probably scored better tries, more important tries, but I think my favourite try was the last try for Wales against Australia. Yeah. Like I say, it didn't change the score of the game. We still lost the match. I think it was just the euphoria of knowing that I wasn't going to play for Wales again, but I finished in style kind of philosophy then, so to speak. And to score in the final minute there with the last touch to a home crowd, with a full home crowd, let's say, with my family and friends all there up in the boxes, was amazing and very emotional in the sense that I knew that I wouldn't do that again. So to score that try was meant the world to me, really. It really did. And to know that after I scored that try and the final whistle went, that the whole crowd stayed there just to clap me off the field. Just one of those things I'll never experience again, but I'll never forget.
Ah, great. Albie's just come on and said, he'd like to thank you for and his favourite try was against London Irish. Do you remember that one?
Yes, for the Ospreys, I had a run out that day. I think it all happened that day. We won the match. I think I scored a 70-80 yarder. Nearly had my head taken off by Topsy Ojo, I think, going over the line. I think I hurdled Topsy Ojo as well about 20 minutes prior to that. It was literally an up and down game, that one. But that was the chip and chase I think he's on about there with that was it. With a hand off, and they didn't happen very often. So there was only about 3 in my career, I think. So I was happy with that one as well.
Great. Right. A question from just outside London from a referee. You started off as a scrum half at the Ammon before switching to winger. When did you stop thinking as a scrum half and start thinking as a winger?
Probably never. I never stopped thinking as a scrum half. I think I loved the position because it meant you get your hands on the ball and get involved heavily during the game. So I think that's probably why I played so differently to any other winger.
Right.
You know, I never I couldn't keep still. I never stayed out on the wing unless I thought the ball was coming. I always worked hard off my wing to get round the corners and get to the other side of the field. And if I saw the ball in a breakdown or a ruck and I didn't think the scrum half was going to get there, I used to get there before them sometimes, whether they wanted me to or not. So I don't think I ever stopped thinking as a scrum half. I just added the fact that I had to start thinking about being a winger as well, which was a position I'd never played before joining Neath. So you know, it's just one of those things that helped develop my game, I suppose. You know, I wasn't just an out and out winger. I was a winger that, you know, could see when there was a space on the blind side as a scrum half, or I could see if the scrum half was tied in another breakdown, I could go there and become first receiver. And, you know, over the years, I did actually work on my passing, so I could actually pass to my right for once. But so yeah, I never really stopped thinking of being a scrum half. I just kind of adapted my game and the way I played.
Great. Right, it's been quite a big week for Ystradgynlais Rugby Club. We've appointed a coaching consultant, Alan Clark. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
My phone stopped. It hadn't stopped all week. You know, people asking me how much we were paying, and obviously Alan's doing it for the community, and he's come out and said that this week. We've appointed a player coach this afternoon, a backs coach that used to play, a forwards coach used to play for Neath. But a question from the club that's just come in is, you know, what do you think of someone like Alan Clark giving back to his local team? I know you've done it with the Ammon. What do you think it'll be for the club, really?
Oh, look, it's incredible, isn't it? You know, you look at someone of Alan Clark's caliber, his experience, you know, and it's amazing that you know, he feels that he can help a club like Ystradgynlais. No, it's great. You know, we've seen it with a lot of clubs over the years, haven't we? You know, we've seen like Vernon Cooper do it as well, haven't we? And people come back from international and you know, high club level teams and give something back. It's great. It just goes to show that it's not always all about the money. It's not always about the ego or, you know, being involved with the best clubs and so on and so forth. And fair play to Alan for doing it. You know, I take my hat off to him. And look, he'll be a massive asset to Ystradgynlais for sure. So all the best with him, lad. I did it with the Amman. You know, I didn't go back to the Amman for any money. I didn't go back to the Amman because I was further in my career. I mean that respectfully to the Amman.
Yeah.
I went back because I made a promise 20 years before it, or 15 years, whatever it was, and I wanted to play with my mates again. And
brilliant.
You know, and that's what it's all about. It's great to give back to your community because that's where it all started. That's where you know, all your friends and family still are. And we all know that the rugby club and the rugby team itself is the heart of the community. So fair play to him.
Great. Just a couple of quick ones before we obviously wrap up. You know, there's some fantastic comments, Shane, to thank you for giving up, you know, your time again, free of charge. And we are lucky that we've got you doing a gentleman's evening at the club that would have been next week, that was sold out. You know, we can't wait for you know, for that. Just a couple of quick ones. You know, how old were you when you started playing rugby?
Okay. Well, I was 8 years of age playing, starting my career. Playing rugby, not a career back then. And I was playing for Glenarmon Primary School against Cwmllynfell. And it was absolutely, well, you can imagine, it was absolutely pouring down. It's always raining in Cwmllynfell, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember being freezing cold on the touchline there, just wanted to be in the house. I didn't really enjoy my first game, but as soon as we had a bit of good weather, fell in love with it straight away. 8 years of age.
Great. And then I think the final question will be, you live obviously in the Avon Valley. What team did you support when you were growing up? And that's from a very good friend of the club, Rodri Phillips.
Well, obviously, I'm an Amman boy through and through. That was my local club, and I remember, you know, going down and watching some legends. Well, they call themselves legends of the Valley. Dobbin and the boys playing there, and Bruiser, who were a very good side back in the day, Amman United. But living in the Amman Valley means that I came under the Llanelli region, as it is now, Scarlets. So I was a big Llanelli fan growing up. I don't like to say that too often. I have massive respect for the Scarlets and Llanelli, but obviously being a Neath boy through and through, my blood is black. But yeah, I remember I was down in Straddy Park and I saw Llanelli beating Australia. I was there on the day, seen a few big matches down there, watched the All Blacks put 90 points on Llanelli. So, yeah, big Llanelli fan growing up. Big fan of the likes of Fran Obotica, Ieuan Evans, Clunky, Chris Wyatt as well, and these guys, legends of the game. So I don't say that too often, so this might be an exclusive here. Llanelli fan.
Aye, that's interesting. Well, that'll be over Twitter, but but obviously, we've had a great half an hour with Shane, and as a club, it's been quite an interesting week for us with a lot of changes, and we'd just like to say, thanks, Shane, for joining us, and we can't wait. If we can have you in November, if it goes ahead, we'll have a gentleman's evening. If not, it's going to be February. We are very grateful for you giving up your time, and obviously, we look forward to having you at the club for the gentleman's evening. Or not, sorry, full-on evening, not gentleman's, is ladies and all sorts. Therefore, I say gentlemen's again. So, but just thanks very much. And everybody else that's watching, there'll be a quiz now that carries on. There'll be some Shane Williams questions. So just like to say thanks so much, Shane, from all Ystradgynlais Rugby Club, for joining us this evening. And we'll carry on with the quiz now, and have a good evening and stay safe, Shane. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gareth. Stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, Shane.
Bye.
Bye.